In this lecture, we will discuss variables and data. A variable is a characteristic that varies from one person or thing to another. We may have different types of variables. A qualitative variable, or sometimes called a categorical variable, take non-numerical values. For example, sex has two different values, male or female. It is a qualitative variable. Marital status is categorical. Its possible values include single, married, divorced, or widowed. Eye color is also categorical, with values of black, blue, green, and some other colors. A quantitative variable takes numerical values. For example, height and weight of a person are quantitative variables. The number of siblings one person has is also quantitative. We may further classify a quantitative variable as a discrete variable or a continuous variable. A discrete variable is a quantitative variable whose possible value can be listed. Usually, it is related to count of something. For example, the number of siblings a person has is a discrete variable. We simply count a number of siblings. The number of cars registered in Alabama in 2019 is another example of discrete variables. A continuous variable is a quantitative variable whose possible values form an interval of numbers. For example, the height and weight of a person is continuous. The length of time a car battery lasts is also a continuous variable. Let's consider one question. Is zip code or phone number quantitative or quantitative? Of course, they look like discrete variables according to the definition. However, they should be treated as qualitative variables. The key to tell whether a variable is qualitative or quantitative is to check whether arithmetic makes sense to those variables. For example, a boy is 4 feet tall. He grows one additional foot. His height now becomes 4 plus 1 equals 5 feet. Arithmetic makes sense to height. It is a quantitative variable. Of course, you can try to add one number to a zip code, but it makes no sense. Each zip code is simply a token for a specific geographic region. A phone number is similar. Arithmetic makes no sense to it. Hence, zip code and phone numbers are quantitative variables. This diagram shows the relationship between the types of variables we have discussed. A variable can be quantitative or quantitative. A quantitative variable can be discrete or continuous. Now let's talk about data. The values of a variable are data. Each type of variable corresponds to one type of data. For example, quantitative data are values of a qualitative variable. Continuous data are values of a continuous variable. And similarly for other types of data. What is a dataset? Firstly, each individual piece of information is called an observation. A dataset is the collection of observations for a particular variable or some variables. The table in the slide shows a dataset. It is about the scores of students in a class. Each column corresponds to one variable. The name of the variable is listed on the top. Each row corresponds to one observation, which contains the information collected from one student. This dataset fits nicely in a worksheet in Excel. Can you tell the type of variables or maybe data for each column? The name of the student is categorical. Gender is categorical. Department is categorical. Exam scores are continuous. You can also say that the exam scores are discrete because they are integers between 0 to 100. Why do we need to pay attention to the types of data? Because most of statistical procedures are valid for only certain type of data. When we discuss statistical models later, for each of them, we will mention what type of data they are applicable. Correctly determining the type of data helps us choose appropriate statistical procedures for data analysis. Sometimes it can be difficult to decide the type of data or variables. For example, is the amount of money discrete or continuous? The smallest unit of money is a penny. The amount of money is essentially the count of pennies. However, I would like to treat it as a continuous variable in data analysis. Usually, a discrete variable means those with only limited possible values. For example, the number of siblings. Usually, the number is only up to 3 or 5. Larger numbers do occur, but they are rare. Based on this reason, I prefer to treat amount of money as a continuous variable. Another example is age. We may measure age in years, such as 10 years old, 20 years old. Sometimes we may group it into age categories, such as kids and adults. For age in years, it is quantitative, while for age in groups, it is qualitative. The last example is the 5-point Likert scale in a questionnaire. The answer of questionnaires can be strongly disagree, neutral, agree, or strongly agree. It is a categorical variable. At the same time, we may represent them as numbers from 1 to 5. They are discrete. Throughout these examples, I want to make 2 points. Firstly, the data type depends on your understanding of your data. Secondly, the data type depends on how the data are represented.